10 years after the launch of the iconic R7, Ruark are back reinventing the radiogram. Now, no, this one might not boast the old school vinyl turntable of old, but if you're looking for a product that's equal parts a stunning piece of furniture, as it is a cutting edge all-in-one music system, then the Ruark R810 might be one for your shortlist. Hey guys, Louis here from Smart Home Sounds. I've got another really exciting video for you all today. Now, if you haven't seen it already, you'll know that we reviewed the brand new Ruark R410 a couple of months ago, and it really impressed me. And that review should be linked somewhere up here. But marking the start of Ruark's new 100 series, the R410 delivered on its promises of providing everything that the modern music world has to offer, along with impressive sound performance to match. So I think it's fair to say that we've got some pretty high hopes for its new and definitely improved bigger brother. Just like its forebear, the R7, which ended up having 3 pretty successful iterations, this is a fresh take on the iconic radiogram that you would have seen in houses up and down the country back in the mid-60s and 70s. Now, I'm not trying to fool anyone here, but the radiogram was a little pre my time. But along with being the hub for all things music in your home, as Ruark put it, this is an object to desire and not just your standard all-in-one audio system. So if you're going to really be sold on this one, then you need to be in the mentality that it is as such. This isn't just a musical piece that's designed to cater to your ears like a pair of floor standers would. This is a piece of furniture. So it's not going to be for everyone, and with a price tag of £3,000, it's not for every budget either. So I'm asking 2 big questions. First of all, number 1, is it worth it? And 2, who is it right for? Now, from my initial inspection, there's no doubt that this one's singing from the exact same hymn sheet as the R410, albeit on a bigger and better scale. We've got that same stunning handcrafted eco wood cabinet and grille, and that's available in either soft grey or fused walnut. There's the iconic rotodial controls, including a separate remote that's reminiscent of a UFO, but actually pretty tactile and handy to have. It's nice and weighty and it feels premium, and of course, importantly, it's rechargeable. Now, there's no companion app with this R810, so again, the remote does come in handy, so you don't have to get up all the time to control playback, and you'll be doing the bulk of your playback control in your streaming app of choice anyway, so you're really not missing out too much here in my opinion. Now, in terms of the rest of the design, there's also some really nice and slick metal detailing throughout, and of course, we've got that 4-inch high-res portrait display too. This might not be for everyone, but it's nice and slick, and whether you've got the album artwork or this clock showing, both really help blend it nicely into the rest of the design, so big props for that one. Now, looking at this, one thing I do want to mention design-wise is the size, because despite the unit itself being considerably bigger than the R410, and it is 100% a 2-person lift, these metal legs that you get with it are actually a little shorter than I expected them to be. Based on the initial lifestyle images from the brand, I thought this would be a little bit taller than it really is. It feels a little bit more like a side table height or TV unit than, say, a sideboard. Now, the size might be perfect for your space or not, depending completely on your home and your requirements, but you do have the flexibility of using the rail-like feet instead on a side unit. Oh, and I did also check with the brand, and they fully see this being a functional piece of furniture in your space, working as any other side unit or coffee table for placing a lamp on top or other decorative bits. Now, just be really careful and make sure that you use a coaster to avoid those dreaded coffee rings on the top. Ultimately, like I mentioned in my R410 review, Ruark have seen what's worked in the past and really finessed it with their 100 series models. I love the retro styling with that modern twist, but of course, styling wise, it won't be for everyone. But if we're talking about tech in this sort of lifestyle furniture space, then there really isn't much out there like it. Now, what I really want to get into with you guys though is the connectivity, because this is an all-in-one music system after all, and like elements of the design, the R810's feature list is far from retro. There's the usual nod to Ruark's radio heritage with DAB, DAB+, FM and internet radio support, but we've also got all of the latest Wi-Fi streaming functionality too. So that's your streaming via Spotify Connect, Apple AirPlay 2, Tidal Connect and Chromecast built in, as well as aptX HD Bluetooth connectivity and high-resolution music file support up to 32-bit 384 kHz. Unfortunately, there's no built-in CD player like the original R7 if you were hoping for that change from the R410, but you'll still be able to connect your CD player or even a turntable using the dedicated line-in, the optical connection or USB. So moving on to the right-hand side then, we've got our phono in and line in, which is a really big plus for us in terms of simplicity. Next up, we've got our optical in and then our HDMI eARC port, which is really useful, and it means that you can connect this up to a TV, which we're going to do a little bit later on in the video. Moving over, we've got our USB-C, and then our Ethernet port. Now you'll also notice on the far right hand side we've got our DAB/FM radio antenna. So moving on to the middle then, and we've got this grille here which helps to support the AV mount. So essentially you'd have your TV sit above the R810 and any audio visual equipment underneath. Now there's no sub output unlike on the R410, as that's all built into the unit, which is a really big statement of intent from Ruark in terms of bass performance. In terms of setup, this one really is as simple as it gets. Once you've got it connected to power and the antenna plugged in, by following the on-screen setup wizard, you'll be up and running in about 5 minutes or so. Now, of course, if you're adding external devices, it might take a tad longer, but this is essentially as simple and as plug and play friendly as you can get. Now, for me, it's that simplicity that really makes this type of product stand out. Hi-Fi, especially 2-channel, can sometimes feel so inaccessible, but you get none of that with this product. There's absolutely no fuss with extra cables or figuring out connections. You are literally minutes away from enjoying your favorite music, regardless of how you choose to listen to it, which is a massive plus in my book. Despite the similarities with the R410, the real differences between these two models lie under the hood. The R810 steps up to a 4.1 system with 180 watts of Class AB amplification. Inside, we've got two larger 30mm silk dome tweeters and twin 10cm paper cone woofers, as well as a 20cm long throw paper cone subwoofer just for good measure, which should, in theory, give this a real boost when it comes to scale of sound and authority compared to Ruark's radiograms of the past, like the R7 for example. Now, we normally like to cover real world testing in our reviews rather than study the spec sheet, but it is really worth re-highlighting that Class AB amplification, because I've got to admit, I was a little bit surprised to see its omission on the R410 because it's so ingrained in Ruark's heritage. Now, having chatted with the brand, it turns out that the shift towards Class D amplification in the R410 was more of a needs-must type of scenario because of efficiency and things like that. So thankfully, Ruark have managed to pull out all of the stops with this one. So even if this is the last bit of Class AB functionality we see from Ruark, they're going out with a bang. But anyway, specifications only paint part of the picture. What we're really interested in is to see how all of that translates into real sound, right? Now, I'm going to give you guys a quick listen, but as always, remember what you're experiencing through YouTube won't precisely be what I'm hearing right here in our studio, but it should give you a pretty good sense of what a music system like this one is capable of. Right then, hopefully you guys enjoyed that one. Now for me, although the Ruark R810 may not necessarily be ear-shattering at high volumes, its real strengths lie in its intricate detailing and impressive stereo separation. Now Ruark has a real knack for producing audio that feels rich, warm and balanced, and to be honest with you guys, the R810 really is no different. The audio it produces feels full-bodied, spacious and pleasantly musical, and the instruments really are brought to life thanks to better than expected stereo separation. In terms of low end, I've seen a lot of people over the years mention Ruark's tendency to be a little bit too polite when it comes to its bass presentation. Now no, the R810 didn't produce rip-roaring, rumble in your chest bass all the time, but when called upon, it had plenty in the locker to really deliver that extra punch. I felt it offered the perfect balance, for me at least, between track and bass line, regardless of how hard I pushed it. Angel by Massive Attack was a track that really stood out for me, demonstrating the power of that built-in sub. The R810 effortlessly handled the song's heavy bass elements, which elevated the listening experience across the board. And if you find yourself with one of these, then definitely make sure you give that track a listen. Vocals were also exceptional, and I was very impressed by the overall clarity and depth too. I was absolutely loving listening to the latest Sampha album. Tracks like Dance in Circles were really given a new lease of life, and it felt really authentic, especially when paired with that high-res playback from Tidal. Now I mentioned it earlier in the video, but as well as serving all of your music needs, the R810 can also be used for your TV audio too, and based on my testing, A lot of this unit's strengths were also transferable to TV listening. You get that real crispness and clarity in dialogue, a broad, spacious sound presentation that's perfect for your movies, and of course, that punchy tight bass that really helps level up the immersion. Now, no, obviously this isn't going to compete with a dedicated home cinema setup, but this is still a very capable unit nevertheless. All in all, this was a really enjoyable listen, but to be fair, you'd expect nothing less at £3 right? Now, obviously, as we've seen with a lot of Ruark products over the years, there's a real elegance and nostalgic feel in the way that they go about delivering audio that I'm sure will be very appealing to those from a traditional wired hi-fi background. But is it enough to trump a system of hi-fi separates worth the same price on its own? It's hard to say. There's so much choice in this price bracket. I'm thinking you could have a pair of KEF LS50 wireless 2s and even a RAL T7X sub for the same sort of price, or you could go for a setup of a pair of KEF R3 Metas with a new R-Cam radio pairing of the A5 amp and streamer. And if I'm being honest, both are very tempting propositions. Now don't get me wrong, for an all-in-one hi-fi solution, this is the best that I've tested hands down, and the versatility, the ease of use, design and small relative form factor are all bonuses that do help to offset that cost and make this a really compelling option that will be perfect for somebody. But based purely on sound performance alone, I think for the price you will be able to get slightly more for your money with a dedicated 2-channel setup, but that kind of misses the point of what this product has set out to achieve, and ultimately it will come down to what you're looking for and the type of setup you want for your space. So what's my final verdict then? Well, I think as an all-in-one solution, the R810 really does stand out as one of the best in its category for sure. It provides a level of sound quality, of usability and design that surpasses most, if not all of its competition in this bespoke category. But when you consider its price point in relation to other more traditional 2-channel systems, that's where the lines begin to get a little bit more blurred. I think if you're after a dedicated listening setup and you value fidelity above all else, then you might benefit from seeing what else is on the market, especially in that 2-channel category. But if you're the type of person who wants to make more use of their investment in day-to-day life, you value stunning design, versatility, simplicity, and of course, impressive sound quality from a single unit, then this is one to seriously consider. But of course, I want to know what you guys think. Is this making it on your shortlist? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you guys very much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next one.